He stood there in greasy overalls, hands rough from years of honest work. The millionaire looked him up and down, smirking beside his shiny red Ferrari that wouldn't start. "If you can make it run," he mocked, "you can have it." Laughter echoed around them, cruel, careless, and loud. But behind the mechanic's calm eyes was something they couldn't see: quiet confidence and a truth that would soon turn their laughter into disbelief. What the millionaire didn't know was who this man really was. For Daniel, fixing engines wasn't just a job, it was survival. Every morning before the sun rose, he opened the rusted door of his small-town garage, the same one his father built with his bare hands. The smell of gasoline and old metal filled the air, but to Daniel it smelled like purpose. He wasn't rich, not even close, but he had something most people didn't: pride in his work and faith in his hands. Locals trusted him. They came not just for repairs, but for his quiet kindness, his calm smile even when life got challenging. But beyond that small town, people didn't always see what he was capable of. Some saw only the color of his skin and judged before they knew the man. Daniel had learned to live with it, even when it stung. He'd faced it too many times to count. That morning felt no different. A warm breeze drifted through the open doors as he wiped the sweat from his brow, humming to the old radio in the corner. Then the sound of tires cut through the air, low, smooth, and expensive. A red Ferrari rolled to a stop in front of his shop, gleaming under the sun like a challenge. Daniel looked up, unaware that the man stepping out, a stranger in a designer suit, wasn't just bringing a car problem. He was bringing a test, one that would push Daniel's patience, pride, and dignity further than ever before. The millionaire leaned against his car, arms crossed, watching Daniel like he was part of some cruel joke. His friends stood nearby, whispering, smirking, and snapping photos like it was entertainment. Daniel ignored them. He'd learned long ago that reacting only gave people like them what they wanted. He lifted the hood and peered inside. The engine was beautiful, but neglected. Whoever owned it had no idea how to treat power like this. The problem wasn't complicated. The challenge wasn't mechanical. It was human. Daniel could feel the weight of every stare on his back, the disbelief that someone like him could even understand a car like that. "Careful with that, buddy," one of the men chuckled. "That thing's worth more than your whole life." Daniel stayed quiet, his hands moving with practiced precision. The world around him faded. It was just him and the machine now. He could hear the faint hum of the engine as he worked, a heartbeat waiting to be revived. But the laughter didn't stop. They whispered louder, their words like knives. "Do you think he even knows what he's touching?" "Bet he messes it up worse." "Yeah, should have called someone who actually knows cars." Every word pressed down on him, each insult layering over the last. But Daniel wasn't frustrated. He was focused. Years of being underestimated had taught him that the best revenge was results. After what felt like forever, he stepped back and wiped his hands. "Try it now," he said quietly. The millionaire scoffed, but slid into the seat anyway, turning the key like he expected nothing. The car coughed once, twice, then roared to life with a sound so clean it silenced the laughter instantly. For a split second, no one moved. The air shifted. Daniel's eyes met the millionaire's through the windshield, calm, steady, unflinching. But instead of gratitude, the man sneered. "You probably just got lucky," he muttered. "Anyone could have done that." He reached for his wallet, pulling out a few bills, tossing them toward Daniel like scraps. Daniel didn't move. He didn't want the money. He wanted respect, but he knew he wasn't going to get it here. The millionaire revved the car hard, smirking. "I'll give you that Ferrari if you can make it really run," he said, half mocking. "Let's see how long it lasts before it breaks again." And with that, he sped off, tires screeching down the dusty road. Daniel watched the car disappear, the smell of burnt rubber lingering in the air. He knew what that man didn't, that the fix he'd done wasn't temporary. It was perfect. But what Daniel didn't know was that fate wasn't done with either of them yet. That same Ferrari would be back, and when it returned, so would the truth, one that would turn humiliation into history. 2 nights later, Daniel was locking up the shop when headlights cut through the darkness. That same red Ferrari, now coughing smoke, skidding to a stop in front of his door. The millionaire jumped out, panic written across his face. His expensive suit was wrinkled, his pride cracked wide open. "It just stopped," he said, his voice shaking. "It won't move. I don't know what happened." Daniel stared at the car, silent. He could see the burnt edges around the engine, the damage caused not by fault, but by force. The man had pushed the car too hard, too fast, trying to prove something. And now the machine had given up, just like respect had given up on him that day. The millionaire paced, muttering under his breath. "I should have called someone else. Someone who actually knows cars." His words stung even now. But Daniel didn't react. He walked over, lifted the hood, and stared down at the wrecked engine. "I told you," he said quietly. "Machines. They remember how they're treated." The man scoffed. "Don't start preaching. Just fix it." But Daniel didn't move. "You think I'm just a mechanic," he said, his tone calm but heavy. "You don't know who designed this engine, do you?" The millionaire frowned. "What are you talking about?" Daniel met his eyes. "I did, years ago. I was part of the engineering team that built this model, before people like you decided I didn't belong there." The air froze. The laughter, the arrogance, it all drained from the man's face. His lips parted, but no words came out. Daniel wiped his hands, stepped back, and nodded toward the car. "You wanted to see it run? Treat it with respect. That's how you make things and people work." For the first time, the millionaire looked at him differently, not as a joke, not as a man beneath him, but as someone far greater than he'd ever realized. And in that silence, under the flickering garage light, it wasn't just a car that had broken down, it was his pride. The next morning, the Ferrari was gone. No words, no apology, just the faint smell of burned fuel still lingering in the air. Daniel stood outside his garage watching the sunrise melt over the horizon. He wasn't angry anymore. Somewhere deep inside, he knew what had happened last night wasn't just about a car, it was about something far bigger. A week passed before he saw the Ferrari again. It pulled up quietly, its engine purring like new. But this time, the man behind the wheel wasn't wearing arrogance. He stepped out slowly, holding the keys, his voice softer than before. "You were right," he said. "I didn't understand." "Not about the car. Or about you." Daniel didn't reply. He didn't need to. Sometimes, silence carries more weight than words. The man left the keys on the counter and walked away. Daniel didn't know if it was guilt, respect, or redemption, maybe a little of all three. What he did know was this: the moment wasn't about victory. It was about being seen. For the first time, the man saw him not as a label, not as a stereotype, but as a human being with talent, dignity, and worth. Daniel went back to work, hands steady, heart light. The world hadn't changed overnight, it rarely does. But in that small corner of town, one person's perception had shifted. And sometimes that's where real change begins. Because racism isn't always loud. Sometimes it hides in laughter, in disbelief, in silence. But every time someone chooses to see, really see, beyond color, beyond pride, beyond fear, the world takes one quiet step forward. So the question remains, how many more Daniels will it take before we finally learn to look past what divides us and start seeing what truly matters?